Well, I guess this is the end of the line for me right here. I started off, it was fine, you know, and the temperatures were in the 40s, and I could see some snow in the distance on these peaks. Well, as I've gone up, it's now down to the upper 20s for temperature, and just right back the road a little bit, I'm going up a steep grade. There's a drop off next to me to a ravine, no guardrails or anything, and all of a sudden I'm on slush and snow and ice. Come around the corner from that and it's all mud, and now I run into this mess. So that's as far as I'm trying to go up this hill today. I didn't expect to run into this, but you know, just part of the adventure. Hello everyone, thanks for joining me today for this video. One of the things I'm trying to do here is to mix it up a little bit and plan content so that you know, I don't end up with a whole bunch of the same thing, same style of content in a row. So for example, when I was in Wyoming, I had a lot of you know, you can call them talking head videos, right? Because I wasn't able to get out as much as I would have liked to explore. Since I left Wyoming, I've been on the road and I've been doing like a ton of travel videos. I know some of you like both of them, some of you prefer one over the other, so what I'm trying to do is plan a little bit and mix that up. So that what I got this new schedule starting for this week, and the one I had planned for today was about flexibility as a nomad. That's something that's been on my list for a while to talk about. So that's what was on today's list. Now the way basically what I'm planning is a vlog style or informal conversational video for Mondays, travel videos for Wednesdays, and more how-to or DIY or that kind of informational videos for Friday. That's all subject to change, but at least for now, that's what I'm trying out as a schedule. So today was flexibility as a nomad. Not sure how I picked that, it just was on my list and it got assigned to today. Now, it's funny because, ironically, this really, you know, fits today. We've been staying at a place south of Moab. Went to go to a different place yesterday, trying to move camps, and ended up, by the time we got everybody together, went to go out there last night. Turns out the site that the last two times we checked on to have plenty of space was filled up. So, to improvise, I ended up sleeping, you know, in what could basically be described to you as a cross between a sand lot and a gravel pit. Yeah, that's the scenery, but it worked for a place to sleep, but not real scenic. And the catch is, or the really significant thing with that is that for today is the wind's blowing 20-something miles an hour. So not only do I have like no scenery at camp to shoot a video, it's like the weather's terrible too with the wind. So I ended up coming up to Sand Flats Recreation Area, which is just east of Moab. You've probably seen video of it recently from a recent film I did. This one today, I got some more footage here is the thing. So I came in here, but the wind is still blowing here, so I had to take a long hike over some rocks and into some trees to find a place where I got a windbreak and I can record. So that's where I am at right now. Still nice scenery behind me though, right? I mean, the scenery around here is gorgeous, so I'm really enjoying that. And the upshot is I got to take some more footage while I'm here, some things I didn't get to show you before. So you'll see them a little later in this video. But about flexibility as being a nomad, why does it matter? What's the big deal? In my experience, people who are on the road full time, who aren't able to be flexible, and adapt, they don't tend to have a very good experience, and maybe not even last too long on the road. Why is that? Nothing ever goes quite as planned. Sometimes it doesn't go remotely close to as planned. So you have to be able to embrace flexibility. I don't know that's so much a skill as it is a mindset. You know, you have to have a mindset of being flexible. And sometimes you make all your plans, you do all your research, and it's just not going to work out the way you expected. And you got to be able to adapt and be flexible. So I'll throw out a couple of categories or areas of nomadic life where that shows up to illustrate what I mean. But this is by no means comprehensive. So the first is weather. Now, if you've been reading blogs from nomads or following videos from nomads for any length of time, you've certainly heard plenty of comments about the weather. And maybe you're wondering, what is the big deal? Why are the people fixated on the weather? Okay. Well, there's probably a few reasons. But I mean, there are things like, for example, I have real bad arthritis on my back from old injuries and surgeries and things. And so I have like several doctors who told me to go to Arizona for the winter. So following the weather improves my quality of life by a pretty good measure. Other people pursue sunlight because they get real depressed and without enough sun. So winter, it's called seasonal affective disorder, and they plunge into depression, and so they do it, they try and pursue the weather for those reasons. Other people, just like me, again, like to be outside all the time, and I don't want to be inside. And if I'm up where it's cold and wintry, particularly with the physical limitations I have because of some old injuries, I end up being inside, and I don't want to be inside. I want to be outside year-round as much as possible. And so following the weather allows me to do that. But there's a bigger thing when you hear us talking about it, and that is that when we live in a house or an apartment in a city, we work in an office or a factory, whatever, to varying degrees, our entire experience is climate controlled. Our house or apartment is climate controlled and sheltered from the elements. Our workplace, for most people, is climate controlled and sheltered from the elements. Our vehicles are climate controlled and sheltered from the elements. So we don't have to deal with the reality of nature except for when it really inconveniently intrudes, like when a storm takes out the power, for example, or shuts down roads. So people can go through their whole lives with very little direct experience with what nature is really like. And so when you move into a van, SUV, car, pickup, tent, those sort of things, to a certain extent an RV, especially if you're not staying in RV parks, if you're boondocking, you're much closer to nature. Most of those who are in vans, for example, or some kind of vehicle like that, we basically have a steel and glass tent is all it is. So when it's hot, you're going to be hot. When it's cold, you're going to be cold. When it's windy, like it is today, you're going to be windblown. That's the way it is. When it's damp, you're going to feel that. You're going to be damp. Your clothes are going to get damp. We're just closer to nature. So, and it has an impact when it comes to life. We're not able to just... Sometimes we're able to move with the weather, and we follow the big pattern. Sometimes that doesn't work. Sometimes you're stuck somewhere for one reason or another. Sometimes an unexpected weather event comes along, and you just got to deal with it. So all your plans, whatever you were thinking you were going to do, are going to be affected by the weather in ways that, most of the time they're not when you live in a house in the city. So we're just, it's it's just the nature of the nomadic lifestyle, that you're closer to the land, you're closer to nature, and you're more in tune with these things. And so part of that deal with that is you have to be flexible and able to adapt your plans and what you think you're going to be doing based on the weather when it changes. So today I thought I was going to shoot a video in a camp. It's too windy, so I had to go hiking around and find a place to make that video. I got a cool hike out of it, got to see some cool stuff, so it's all good, right? But that happens. That's just you have to be able to adapt and be flexible to that. Okay, another example: camping. I don't care how much research you do, and it helps to do some research. you do all this thing. You get your 3 or 4 campsites planned out, or tentative campsites planned out when you go to a new place. Sometimes you get there and none of them work. Um, you know, maybe they're already full, because most, always with dispersed camping, and many BLM and Forest Service primitive campgrounds are first come, first served. They don't take reservations, so you don't really know till you get there if you're going to find a spot to camp or not. Maybe the whole area is closed. That happens. They may close it because of a wildfire or a flood or just overuse. That happens periodically. Maybe you get there and the reviews you read online said, oh yeah, any vehicle can get in here. And you get there and realize that you're driving a minivan and you clearly need a 4-wheel drive with high ground clearance to get in here. Because of the mud or because of the rocks or whatever. So this happens. So you got to be able to be flexible and not let that totally wipe you out and mess you up, because it's going to happen. And so, you know, you may end up at Walmart or a truck stop for the night, and then you go back the next day and figure something else out. Or similarly, you just get in too late. Maybe you had a late start, maybe you had some vehicle trouble, traffic, construction, whatever, and you got in after you expected to. It is no fun trying to find primitive campgrounds or dispersed campsites, especially in the dark. You're driving down a primitive road that's really just a you know, path. It's not paved or graveled or anything usually, and you got your headlights. You're looking for what might be a campsite or another road off it or whatever. It's not fun. So maybe you run into something like that, and you have to just, you know, wing it at a truck stop or a Walmart until morning comes around. You can get back in there and see something. So, you know, that's another example. Now, at the same time, I don't want to make it sound like it's always hard to find campsites, because sometimes you totally luck out. Last month we were up in Silverton, Colorado. And 3 of us, I was with Curtis and Deborah too, and Bob wanted to stay on the top of the mountain for photos, and we were like, it's too cold up here. So we went down there. We just looked at the map and said, I wonder if there's some camping around here in the forest. Went down in the San Juan Forest, found a really nice free campsite, only one in the area. There were some other paid options around. We found the only free one in the area, drove right to it, totally lucked out. It was a great site for the week we were there. So it happened, that happens too, but sometimes it just doesn't work out, even if you have 2 or 3 or 4 sites lined up, you think. Sometimes they just don't work out. Okay, another example is finances that you got to be able to adapt and be flexible with. Now, a lot of people who are out here on the road full-time are retired or on disability, so they at least have a steady income, but they're on a fixed income, so they still have some challenges with that. But for a lot of us, if you're working seasonal jobs or you have a business or you're self-employed like I am, you know, we don't have a steady paycheck like a lot of people do living in a city. So we're not working regular full-time W-2 jobs. So, okay, what about the seasonal people? Well, they may get somewhere and find out that the job isn't available anymore, even though they were promised it. Or they may get there and find out that it's terrible, or they're not getting the hours they were promised, whatever. All these things happen. So you need to be able to be flexible and adapt when that happens. If you're like me, you're self-employed, I got mostly freelance income, but also some other business income. You know, there's ups and downs. And so I have to be able to flex, be adaptable, you know, find new work when needed, scale back work sometimes because I have too much, adjust my budget, my spending based on this. I don't always do it perfectly, but you have to have that mindset of being flexible, because you just don't have a lot of the sameness that a lot of people find is kind of soul-crushing that you get in the city. So, you know, so for these reasons, you got to be able to be flexible and to embrace flexibility, because you're going to make all kinds of plans, and a lot of times they're just not going to work out. Sometimes they won't work out anywhere close. Sometimes they'll come sort of close, but we just have so many variables that we introduce into our lives as full-time nomads that's different from the fake structure and routine that's built into city life. So it's essential to be able to embrace flexibility as a nomad to avoid driving yourself crazy and probably getting off the road just because you can't stand the chaos. It doesn't have to be unbridled chaos. I'm not suggesting that either, just that you have to be able to roll with the punches a little bit, because unexpected things come up routinely because we just don't have the same built structure that you have in a house in the city. So that's my thoughts on flexibility. I hope you enjoyed. I got a few clips here from around Sand Flats Recreation Area. This is a combination county and BLM operated area. You do have to pay a day use fee to get in. It's $5. And camping is like $15 a night, I think, if you want to camp here at one of the. You can only camp in a designated campsites. They set this up, that partnership between the county and BLM, along with a couple other organizations like AmeriCorps and some other community volunteers, because this area was just getting trashed a number of years ago. So they set this up to better manage it and try and allow recreation without destroying the land. So I'll throw a link to the this particular site, the Sand Flats Recreation Area, in the description if you want to check it out, see a little more about it. But I hope you enjoy the views. And as you saw earlier, I couldn't go all the way back up into the mountains like last time we were here because the snow was just too bad. I didn't dare to go any further. It was getting pretty hairy. So, but I hope you enjoy the views. Lots of great scenery around Moab. The traffic around here can be challenging. We're not even, I mean, it's pushing the middle of October now, and there's still a lot of traffic here. A lot of people coming through, but it's really cool around here. If you've never been through here, it's worth coming through and spend at least a few days if you can, maybe more, to get out and see some of the views around here. Really pretty area, very scenic. So hope you enjoy these, and thanks for watching, everybody. You know, if you're not already subscribed, maybe hit that subscribe button and the little bell so you get notified when I publish new videos. I'm trying to do 3 a week here consistently, and I hope you like this video if you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.